Come on, recording in progress. Why is it taking so long just to... Thank you. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Highly Taken podcast. I'm David Seekbird, back at you again from Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah, for those of you that don't remember me, because it's been a while, I am Christian Smith, and I am shooting from Maryland.
You do definitely have a forgettable face. Nick Smith back at you from Jacksonville. Let's get it, guys.
All right, so I guess it's the beginning of the week, so what are you guys going to do for that first order of business? It's been a while.
You know, I don't really know. I feel like we all should be punishing ourselves on dubs and chugs since we didn't really do anything. So I feel like something needs to happen here.
I just think we should default to Christian being the loser. I don't know about you.
I like that. I think that's always a safe bet to go with. I don't think it's 2-1, so I don't think automatically he doesn't have a choice, right?
Oh,
Isn't
that's how it works.
That's how it works. It's 2-1. I think that's how it works.
Then do I need to chug my Kool-Aid?
You chug your Kool-Aid.
Chug that. You chug that Kool-Aid. Yeah. What do you want to start with?
I think we can go. He's chugging right now. So let's just talk about the NFL. What do you want to talk about the NFL right now? What are some things going across your mind?
You know, one, I'll start with how bad the Giants are. Just absolutely atrocious. Terrible team. GM is garbage. Everyone is. And then I have a buddy that really thinks Daniel Jones is the answer. Guy hasn't had they haven't scored a offensive touchdown in 2 games. And that's sad because their defense is scoring. Their defense is okay. They're managing to keep them in some sort of game. Yet their offense is absolutely trash. And guess what? When you pay someone $40 million, guess what happens? You can't pay other people on that offense, so you don't have weapons. Their best wide receiver right now is Sterling Shepard. Sterling freaking Shepard. That's garbage. That's ass. You suck. And you don't have Barkley. And you didn't want to pay him. This is what you get.
Yeah, it looks abysmal, like you said. Granted, it's kind of weird when you say they only held the Dolphins to 31 points yesterday. Only 31 points. That's still a lot. Defensive wise, they look awful. Offensive line wise, they look awful. It's not all on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones isn't the problem, but he's one of the issues on a big, giant, pun intended, problem there. So I have no idea where they can actually go is the thing. I think you're right. The GM's just trash.
You sit here, you're saying the defense isn't good. Yeah, 31 points isn't bad, but when you're out on the field for 3/4 of the game, you're gonna get tired. And Tyreek Hill is quick. Achani's quick. You're gonna be tired. They're just gonna let loose, and this is what happens. This is what happens all across the board. Christian, you want to add anything to that, or?
No, dude, I texted you a couple of times, Nick, and I've said, I think the Giants are the worst team in the league. I just feel like they can't. The Broncos.
The Panthers.
I don't know. At this point, I might argue the Cowboys, man. That was pretty crappy showing last night, but I loved every second of that one.
And I will say the Giants did better against the Niners than the Cowboys did.
To be fair, Cardinals did good.
Yeah, to be fair though, for the Dallas fans and their sake, the Niners were looking forward to this game. On paper, the Niners are a better team. I think they played down to the other teams, and they were looking at this. They had this marked on their calendar to go out there, primetime game, and absolutely show them who the best team is. And they didn't just show them. They demolished them. Dak throwing 3 interceptions, no surprise. And the thing is you have your defense has been playing pretty well for Dallas, and then you go in and you haven't really played many teams that are good. So you've been playing trash teams. You finally have a team that is decent and has the pieces. And to be fair, the offense hasn't been tested. This was the first time they were tested. They showed true colors. I love the fact that McCarthy has a tablet boy to show him plays and show him what's going on. I absolutely love that. And he sucks. I'm sorry. everything about that franchise is just screaming garbage.
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I have it right here. This Cowboys team is probably one of the more overrated Cowboys teams I've seen. They won the first like 3 games, whatever, their first 2 games, I think. They won the first 2 games, and people were already crowning them the best team in the NFC for some reason. I mean, you look back at who they played so far. They played a Giants team who right now we think is the worst team in the NFL. They played a Jets team without Aaron Rodgers. They lost to the Cardinals. And then last week, they played the Patriots. They blew them out, but the Patriots are also looking like one of the worst teams in the NFL, back-to-back weeks, losing by 30 plus. They got shut out, lost 33-0 to the Saints this last week. So like you said, they haven't been tested, and when they are tested, have not looked good at all.
It's only going to get worse.
No, and I feel like we said it. I know, Nick, I think I talked about it with you. I mean, dude, Dallas wins games because of their defense, not because of their offense. And like a team like the Niners, they win games because of both. Like Dallas is going to come across teams like the Niners that your defense can't just win the game. You need offensive firepower, and they just don't have it. I mean, Pollard has been running the ball great. Dak hasn't been throwing the ball great. CD can't find his separation. I mean, damn it, their best player on offense, he was in the XFL 3 years ago in Kevon Turpin. I mean, they do not look like a good team on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, I hope they don't change anything. But for them, something has to change.
Yeah.
You see Santa.
I don't know what you do. I think if you have an abysmal season again, I agree. But I think for Dallas' sake, McCarthy's got to go at the end of the year if this is going to continue. He's had his time. They went out and paid a lot of money to get this team going. Granted, they don't have Diggs, but their interior is good enough to be able to handle their own without Diggs. Diggs is, I think he's overrated in my opinion. I might be a little biased, but when you're targeted more than any other corner, if you have hands, you're bound to find some interceptions. So I think that's the reason why. But I just don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about Dallas now. They aren't the team that I was scared of them. I still am because it's a divisional game against them, but their team's less scary than what I was expecting based off of how they played the Niners. They just were flat. They looked like they didn't want to be there. I mean, that's pretty much all I saw.
Yeah, I think the Eagles the Rams played a good game against the Eagles. I'll give them that. And that going into the next week against Dallas, I don't think they had the defensive firepower to match up against the offensive firepower that the Rams actually have. I think they're going to lose again to the Rams. I really do.
Listen, I told you, man, my dark horse was the Rams this year. They're a good team. They're keeping every game close. I will say, I still feel like they should have beat the Bengals. That's neither here nor there. But they're my dark horse this year, man. The Rams are a good team. Stafford's healthy this year. Now they have Cooper Kupp back. I was scared going up against Cooper Kupp, as we should have been as Eagles fans, because he still torched us.
He had 5 receptions in the first drive, and 3 or 4 of them were on 3rd or 4th down.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy, you could tell when he wasn't on the field and when he was on the field. Their drives would stop as soon as he'd have to come off and take a breather because, he's out of shape. This is his first game back, so he's not completely healthy. But you got to give credit where credit's due when you have the Eagles defense that held them to 0 points in the second half. Great adjustments. They played great. They had a couple drives going downfield, but nothing crazy. Jalen Carter, I mean, can we put him in defensive rookie of the year yet? I mean, at this point, the way he's playing, I mean, I dare you to run the ball up the middle when he's in. It's like it's like running into a brick wall. He puts his arm out there, you're tackled. I don't know what he does. He's a beast. Thank goodness he dropped to us. I just don't know, man. It's tough. That defense is good.
I think a lot. I want to talk about too. We're going to talk about the Eagles. I think a lot of people were too quick to sound the alarms on this Eagles offense. I still think there's a lot of people who still thinks the Eagles offense isn't good right now. But if you look at the stats, they're fifth most in points this year right now. They have the second most total yards in the NFL. And that's to a team, the Dolphins, who have the most yards ever through the first 5 games in NFL history. So, I mean, the offense isn't looking bad. The only thing that the offense needs to do is turn these field goals into touchdowns. Their red zone production has been 3 points, 3 points, 3 points instead of 7. And that comes down to play calling.
That's what I was about to say. The stats don't lie on that. Everything looks good all the way up until they get to that 20-yard line, and it's like they get conservative with their play calling. Jalen Hurts, that interception he threw in the red zone, that was so costly, and that was a big mistake. That was honestly the first real mistake I've seen him make all year. That should not have been a back shoulder trying to keep it close. He should have thrown it high. But honestly, that was the only mistake I saw him really have. But play calling in the red zone needs to change. Something needs to be different. Dallas Goedert, look what happened. He got active, and he was a huge piece yesterday. And you need to have Dallas Goedert in there in order to go out there and demolish. I hate the fact Smith didn't get targeted that much, but when you have the middle and they're giving you that middle all day long, give it to Goddard. He can get you more yards. I mean, yeah, his yards after catch are crazy. And that's why we used to use him for screens. I don't know, man. Next week is going to be a good test as well.
But the Jets, right? Jets?
What? I don't know if that's going to be a good test or not. You had the Jets have not looked. I mean, it's still Zach Wilson. They've not looked good. They won against the Broncos. That doesn't worry me at all. I don't know what. I think it's in New York, but we're not playing Rodgers. We're still playing Zach Wilson. The offensive line, like you said, was like one of the worst coming into the season. You saw what we did against the offensive lines this last week. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. And also, I think the biggest stat to look forward to: how many times have the Eagles lost to the Jets in franchise history? 0. You've never lost to the Jets. So,
and I don't like the sound of that. Sounds like we're past due for a loss in New York. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That defense is good. You can't argue with that defense. It's a very, very, very good defense. Now, are they going to be okay going up against a quarterback like Hurts that's able to extend plays, able to juke you out? Yes, Josh Allen can run, but he's not someone that jukes you out. He just bulldozes over you. Jalen Hurts can do both. So I don't know. Speaking of that Jets-Broncos game, I got to say it, man. I was so glad the Broncos lost that, just for the fact of what Sean Payton said about the coach. And, they showed them. They showed the Broncos that they're a garbage team. And I don't know, man. Are the Broncos going to go winless this year? Are they going to get a win out there? Oh, wait, they beat the Bears. They beat the Bears. Sorry. Yeah, they beat the Bears. Yeah. Well, I still think they shouldn't have beat the Bears. Either way, that shouldn't have happened. The Bears absolutely destroyed them in time of possession. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's your top 5 and who's your bottom 5? I want to know.
Go Christian first. We haven't let him talk that much. I feel bad.
I think for me right now, the top 5 teams, I'll go 1, Niners. I mean, they've just been beating the piss out of every team. I feel like it's kind of hard to argue a different way right now. 2, I'm going to go Philly. I mean, it's the only other 5-0 team. I mean, they keep finding a way to win. If you can continue to just find a way to win, that's all you need to do. That's the main thing. Keep the main thing. That's number 2. At 3, I'll go Kansas City still. Now, the only reason I'm going Kansas City here is still because who's running the quarterback position over there in Patrick Mahomes. He's still one of the best that we so far. He hasn't been playing out of his mind crazy this year, but there's not really much offensive help over there. But once again, they're finding ways to win.
There's plenty of offensive help.
Yeah, they have Taylor Swift on the sideline.
And they have plenty of defensive help by the refs.
By the refs. Yeah, the refs. Yeah, they have them too.
Absolutely garbage. Terrible.
That's
Vikings why I don't even have them as a Power 5. They almost lost to the Jets. All right. You're saying we're supposed to go out there and destroy
they should have lost the Jets. The Vikings should have had a chance to win that last during that game yesterday as well.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's number 3. So who do you got rounding it out?
There's number 4, I'm gonna go with Miami. I just think the offensive firepower that's over there it's too hard to stop. I mean, it's a track meet at every single position. So much speed that you cannot stop it. And number 5, I'm gonna go Detroit, man. I like what Dan Campbell is doing over there. I mean, dude, they're turning things around. That offense looks great. They can score in shootouts. They can play defense and keep it close. However they want to win a game, they can win the game that way. And they just look very good over there.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, mine's gonna be almost similar to yours. I think the Niners are the best complete team right now. I mean, you look at their defense; they have led the least amount of points this year so far. Their offense is a bunch of studs. Number 2, I have Philly again, offensive and defensive wise, both good on sides of the ball. Number 3, I'm putting the Lions at 3. The Lions have looked incredible this year so far. They have one loss, and I don't even remember who they lost to. Was it divisional? The Packers?
Yeah.
I thought they beat the Packers.
Seattle.
Not a bad loss to Seattle. At number 4, I'll have the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins have warranted at least number 4 for right now. I still think defensive-wise, that's going to be where it gets them. They played one good offensive team, and they got blown out by that team this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do with other good offensive teams. And number 5, I'll put KC. I think it's hard to put Kansas City out of the top 5. Yes, they haven't looked as good. Yes, they've been bailed out by the refs this year, but I still think they're the best 5, one of the best 5 teams in football, top to bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, my top 5 is exactly the same as yours, David. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Miami, I would like to put them higher, but it's very hard with that defense. They're still giving up a lot of points. I mean, they let Buffalo put up 40 points against them last week. Granted, you're in Buffalo, divisional game. It's going to happen. Buffalo was due to put up some numbers. It's tough to really argue Niners being the best, like not being the best team. I mean, from paper, what I'm seeing from these games, they're the clear number 1. And again, Philly has to be 2. They're undefeated. It's not pretty. The games aren't pretty, but they're getting it done. And I feel like that's just kind of been Philly's aspect in every year. It seems like they win, but they're doing it in an ugly fashion, not a fun fashion. But yeah, I mean, Detroit has to be 3, man. Dan Campbell, what he's done with that team and how is that team fired up, I love it. And that Seattle and that game could have went either way. It was a shootout game. It was a fun game to watch. They have a good defense. I would like to see them be a little more consistent, but they have a good defense. I mean, besides that game, I think they've only given up like at most 24 points. So it's not a bad defense. They get it done. And yeah, it's tough to argue. I don't want Kansas City at 5, but Mahomes and Kelsey, they're enough to make that a decent team. I'm sick and tired of seeing the refs handle games this year. In all honesty, they should have 3 losses this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So who do you think are the 5 worst teams you'd have right now?
Well, I'll just fire mine off real quick. I'm going to say Bears, Broncos, Panthers, oh my goodness, Cardinals, and then, Patriots.
Wow, didn't even put the Giants on his bottom 5.
After he said the Giants are part of the worst. Oh, no, that was Christian who said the Giants are part of the worst team in football.
Yeah, I'll go. I think for me, my bottom 5 teams, dude, I think I'll go
Giants.
Solid list.
Yeah, right. I think at the 5 spot, I'm gonna go Minnesota. I think that defense is so atrociously bad that it is costing Minnesota absolutely everything that they have in this season. They can't win. Dude, their defense can't win a single game but against the 0-5 fucking Panthers. And they barely won the team. I'm putting the Vikings there. Below them, I guess, yeah, I'll probably go the Bears. The Bears are pretty bad. I have to go the Bears. Great game out of them this past week, but I'll go the Bears there. Then I'll put the Broncos. Broncos are garbage. I mean, just straight garbage. Russell Wilson, your time is done. Caleb Wilson, you are a Bronco. And then second to last, I kind of see Nick. I like how you threw the Patriots in there, but you're gonna have to go to the Panthers second to last. And I've said it so many times since we started this episode. Giants are the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to be around somewhere between you guys two. I think I'm going to put the Patriots before the Vikings. I think the Vikings are the sixth worst team, ultimate six, but I'll put the Patriots at 5. Although I said there'd be a sneaky team. I mean, you get blown out by 30 plus in back-to-back weeks. Belichick had only one 30 plus blowout loss in his entire career and had 2 in back-to-back weeks now. So I'm going to put them at like the 5th worst. Before them, I'll put the Bears. Then I'll go to the Commanders, then Denver, then the Giants. Now, I know people are saying, oh, the Bears have won 2 straight. Justin Fields has 8 touchdown passes and 617 yards in 2 games. He played against the Broncos and the Commanders, and believe it or not, those are the 2 worst defenses in the NFL right now. Broncos giving up 36.2 points per game, and the Commanders giving up 32. That's 32 and 31 in points allowed in the entire NFL right now. So yes, he had good games against them, but he also played the 2 worst defenses right now. But yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, they said the Giants just look bad. Panthers look bad, which is a shame because I really wanted the Panthers to win that division. I thought they had the intangibles to win, but it's really on Bryce Young. It really is on Bryce Young, and he is not looking good. He cannot read a defense to save his life, and he is throwing so many bad picks when they don't need bad picks to be thrown.
The best quarterback I'm seeing out of that draft, and I hate to say it, but CJ Stroud, man. CJ Stroud's looking like a beast that he can actually be a full-on quarterback. Anthony Richardson, he has that athleticism that's fun to watch.
Unhurt.
Yeah, but he's getting hurt. But guys, I'm sorry. You think I think Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's that bad. I think the Bengals are worse than Minnesota right now. Bengals finally had a good game this past week. They're not the same team that we're used to seeing. And I think a lot has to do with Burrow not being 100% healthy. Now that could change, but if you're as an Eagles fan, this is the time I'd want to play the Bengals. Right now, right this second, because this is not the team. They haven't found their chemistry. Hopefully they did with Jamar Chase this past week, but just something's not clicking. It's still not clicking, even though they played great this past week.
Yeah, I think a lot, like you said, a lot of it to do with that injury. I don't think Joe Burrow is 100% there. Again, they should have rested him these first couple of weeks. I don't understand why they didn't give him 100% healthy and then put him back in. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think if you're not 100% healthy, at the end of the day, if you're not 100%, you're not going to be able to help your team win games. Don't force yourself back in there just to give your team a quicker loss. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what you're saying, Nick. Maybe they haven't found the chemistry yet, but at the end of the day, I mean, up until yesterday, Jamar Chase had 0 touchdowns, and everybody knows that when that Bengals offense gets going, it's because of Burrow to Chase. And I mean, he had a breakout game yesterday. I think he had 8 receptions, almost 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So are they starting to find that connection? Maybe, but I guess I feel like that's probably a question I can't answer you 100% until next week because we got to see what it looks like again. Can they follow it back and Chase have another game? Maybe we'll have to see that. But if they can't both get firing on the same end, then no.
Yeah, I think the big thing to look at too is like Bengals, you say they may be one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. That division is so wide open. You top to bottom now. I mean, you look at it, the Bengals dropped, 3 out of the first 4. They're now 2-3. The Ravens and the Steelers are 3-2 at the top of the division. The Bengals are only 1 game back after starting off terribly. They're only 1 game back now of first place in that division because everybody you have the Ravens losing to the Steelers and the Colts, both not amazing teams.
Well, the way I look at it too, though, yeah, they shouldn't have lost to the Colts. I will say that. But most of those games in that division this year have been divisional games between all of them. So, I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. You think divisional games, that you don't know what's going to happen in those. I mean, case in point, Pittsburgh came out and played this week. Now they're in first place in the division, which is crazy to think about. But I think still, I would say
5 points.
Bottom,
they only had 5 points until 6 minutes left in the game, though.
Yeah. So I would literally say top to bottom, that's still the best conference or division in the league. I think each one of them are going to be a tough team to beat. Steelers defense, they're crazy good. Browns, they're the surprise team, but I mean, I think the Browns are just as good as any other team. I just don't. It's even seeing that record, you're like, wow, they just look middle of the class. You can say that all you want, but top to bottom, that is a division I wouldn't want to touch.
It's just more of you were saying how the Bengals are like looking like they were worse than the Vikings. I just wanted to point out there that even though they haven't looked so good, they're only one game back of that first place spot. So that whole division right now, I mean, like you said, I agree. They're beating up on each other. For some reason, the NFL wants to schedule a lot of these divisional games to start off the year, which makes no sense to me. So,
This just in, guys. Achani's getting his knee evaluated.
That's not cool. He's been doing numbers for me in fantasy.
So luckily they have Mostert, but I will say,
I don't have Mostert in my fantasy team.
Huge loss for the Dolphins if he messed his knee up. I'm hoping for their sake that it's a MCL. I'm hoping for our sake he doesn't come back for 3 weeks. But that's okay. We'll go from there.
No, bro. I can't, dog. I can't have that happen. I just traded away Swift and made Atkin a full-time starter, bro, because, dog, this can't be happening right now.
Well, I didn't know you traded away Swift for Achani. That's
traded away Swift for Achani, bro. I traded away Swift for Brandon Ayuk and made Achani a full-time starter.
You traded Swift for Ayuk?
You went there in the group chat. You went there in the group chat. He asked for our opinion.
Yeah, and if you saw my wide receiver core compared to my running back core, you would have probably taken the trade as well.
Oh no, man, that's tough. Rip Christian's team like every single year. He's always struggling.
I blasted Christian in fantasy in one of our leagues this week.
DJ Moore, man. DJ Moore went off.
And Laporta and Hurts.
Nothing you can do about it.
It's okay. I won 168 to 88 in my other league, so we're good.
Well, let's talk about tonight's game. Who do you guys have winning tonight's game?
Phillies. And if you say anything
else, he's talking about
Monday Night Football. I haven't gotten to
Packers versus the Raiders, I believe.
Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll take the Packers to win it at home, but I'm looking for Devontae Adams to have a big game against the former.
You're hoping. You mean hoping. Yeah, I have Jordan Love in fantasy, but because I'm playing Christian right now, I don't really need to do much. I think I don't know. It really depends on which Jordan Love you're getting, and he's been so wishy-washy this year. I think the defense for the Raiders is going to shut down tonight. I'll have the Raiders winning that game. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Raiders will take off with the defense. Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think Love goes over 200 yards passing tonight. At least 200. I think that's safe. It's a safe bet. But I mean, Devontae Adams, homecoming, they're gonna feed him the ball, right? They have to feed him the ball. You have to give him something.
I mean, they've done all season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Packers win this game. I think the Packers win. It's gonna be close, but I think they end up winning it. But yeah, since Christian's getting all excited and worked up over there, guys, why don't we talk about some MLB playoffs? Like the fact that these Braves fans went out there and threw beer on the field. Nobody batted an eye about that. But if Philly does that, we're scumbags and we're a terrible fan base. Let's go ahead. I want to talk about how we shut out the Braves for the first time, I believe, in Braves history. In the playoffs?
Yeah, it was the first time the Braves were shut out in playoff history. I believe it was also the first time any team has been shut out in game 1 of the NLDS, a matter of fact.
Home team, right?
I believe so. So, pretty crazy there. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, though, Nick, I mean, national media would want Philadelphia's head on a stick, dude, if that were us throwing beers into this field. I mean, like, dude, we get crazy. We might boo you. You might be a lifetime 300 batting average hitter, and we could still boo the shit of you. We don't care, but like we're not, dude. A beer at the game is $20. We have more common sense than to toss a beer.
The Phillies fans' beers would be empty anyway. If they threw them out in the field, they'd be empty anyway.
It would be empty, or they would fill it with piss. Let's be honest.
It would.
I don't know about that. I don't know about piss missile.
Might throw Wawa hoagies.
Yeah, but if we're gonna talk about it, yeah, like you said, Strider. I mean, we took Atlanta's best. The Phillies took Atlanta's best shot. They 3-0'd them, 0 runs against this historically best offense in like regular season history that they had. And that's such a big win. It's such a big win. You put your 3 up there and Suarez in, you get a win against their 1, and now you have Wheeler coming in. I mean, we just wanted to take 1 against Atlanta and bring back to Philadelphia, but taking the first one against Atlanta is huge against their ace. And I honestly, Christian brought up the stats, so I'll let him talk about the stats of our batting lineup against the pitcher tonight.
Yeah, dude, I was talking with Dave right before Nick, you got up on here. I know I was texting you earlier too about it, Nick. Yeah, against Max Fried, I believe is who it is tonight, dude. This team, like the Phillies, hit off this guy, man. Castellanos bats 615 lifetime against him. Harper bats 300. JT bats 350. Turner bats 400. Rojas has only faced him 1 time ever, but in that 1 time, he went 1 for 2 with a double. I mean, this team can hit this guy. And, I mean, he only faced us once last year. Not last year, this past year. And in that 1 outing, I think he went 5 innings pitched with 1 earned run, giving up on 4 hits with 5 strikeouts. So it was a decent outing, and they ended up getting the win. They got the win in extras as well. But, dude, I mean, when you're placing everything together, and then you look at the momentum, and you figure everything, dude, and you got to understand, too, I feel like a lot of people don't see this, and as we just said about it, like, Philly just won the first game. They didn't just win in Atlanta. They won the first game. They knocked off Spencer Strider, the apparent king of pitching so far in the NL that everybody's been terrified of. They just knocked him off. They took it away and made Atlanta cry right there in their own home stadium. Their backs are up against the wall. They're terrified. They're throwing out another pitcher that Atlanta knows Philadelphia can hit. And Philadelphia's throwing out, arguably so far, the best pitcher in the playoffs. So what are you going to do? I mean, I feel like the odds are stacking against,
Second best pitcher. Nola put up a better game than Wheeler.
No, I think Clayton Kershaw is the best one through.
I don't know about that one.
I will say, man, it was nice taking game 1. We took some of that momentum the Braves had, and I said this from the beginning. I always feel like being a wild card playing team is better than having a bye where you're sitting around for a week, then you get to play. Because it took the steam out of the Braves. The Braves were the hottest team in baseball all year. They're still, on paper, don't get me wrong, their lineup is better than our lineup on paper. Regular season. You come playoff time and you come against the Phillies that are ready and they're hungry. They have the team to make a run, and they're hungry. Now, you're getting a different ball. You're getting a different ball team, different style play. If you're telling me these stats tonight, yes, the guy pitched great game 1. I look for it to be a decent game. But I'm telling you, if those are the stats and that's what you're seeing, and this might be the first time he's playing the Phillies in postseason, I don't know if he knows what he's in for, even if it's in Atlanta. I don't think Philly cares. But again, Wheeler on the mound, I like him. You're not going to hold that Braves team to no points tonight. I think they score at least a couple. But if you're telling me that, it could be a blowout. But I still think you're looking at 5-3 Phils tonight. I really do. I think the Phils are going to win 5-3.
And I think you make a great point when you talk about the wild card versus these teams that are going to buy. You look at the stats from this past weekend. There's only been 1 win from a team who got a bye this week, and that was the Astros. They won game 1. But if you look at that, the Diamondbacks, they put Kershaw out after 1/3 inning. I've pitched 1 less inning than Kershaw has this entire postseason. That's crazy. And then you have, the Twins took 1 against the Astros. Then you have the Texas Rangers, who, first of all, we said that the Orioles probably weren't going to make it past the first round. We all said that we thought they were too young. The Rangers took 2 in Baltimore. So that's probably done. That's a done deal. And then the Phillies obviously take one in Atlanta. And like you said, I completely agree. There is momentum there because baseball is a game of streaks.
Yep.
And if you're streaking and then you have to cut a week out within that streak, you're going to be hurting yourself because now you've lost your momentum. Now you're cold. You have to get used to these pitches coming at you again. And it's honestly probably a reason why a lot of wildcard teams end up winning World Series.
Yeah.
Well, I was texting Nick about it too earlier. And it's kind of the point I was giving for the Diamondbacks, basically, was that LA had been sitting around for a little bit. And I was telling Nick, too, LA had been a decent ball club for a majority of the year, but they hadn't been a great ball club. And they didn't become a great ball club until about the last.
But what were you saying before it cut off? You were talking about Dodgers. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Dodgers.
All right.
Finish your thought.
Oh, yeah. Nah, like I was saying, though, I think David, what do you...
Yeah, keep going.
No, I don't think the Dodgers were a great team all year. I feel like they became a better team and got hot towards the second half of the season. And I feel like, that momentum and that hotness it's just running out. I mean, they have some of the best players in baseball, obviously, in Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, players like that. But through the Diamondbacks, man, they're getting hot at the right time. They already won through. They took 2 right away and swept in the wild card. They were playing well to get into the playoffs just before that, and now they came into LA and they took out their best pitcher in a third of an inning. I mean, they're ready. Corbin Carroll is on an absolute hot streak. David went over those stats with me at the beginning of this. I mean, he's daddy, so it's just how it happens,
No, and like we have to remember, at one point there was a time where before the Dodgers decided to blow out the entire rest of the NL West, there was a time like right at the All-Star break where everybody was within like a game of a half of each other between them, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks. So I mean, I don't know, like you say, I like we were talking about the Braves. They took the best hit from the Dodgers. The Clayton Kershaw is their ace. I mean, obviously Clayton Kershaw has had the history of postseason failure.
What?
But I mean, they took the best hit.
I love playoff Kershaw, man. Playoff Kershaw is the best pitcher as a Philly fan you can go up against, Philly player. I would love to go up against Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the Braves start taking one page out of Miami's book and start throwing left-handed pitchers.
Well, we'll see how that worked against Miami.
Well, obviously it didn't work very well, but I think they threw.
Do they have lefties?
Right-handed
Do the Braves
pitchers
have lefties?
Yeah, Pride's all right.
It ought to be good. I mean, I don't think we sweep. We could, but it's a good series, I will say. And I said, in all honesty, I think the Phillies match up better against the Braves than anyone else does. We know the team. We play them the most, so it kind of helps. Braves normally own us in regular season. Postseason, I think, just a little different. It'll be fun. I will say the O's, you had a great run. I don't think you're going to have a chance. I think it's over. Do I think the Rangers have the pitching to be able to get them where they need to go? I don't think so. But you don't know, man. You don't know. You know what team's surprising me? Twins. That team is looking good. They got hot at the right time. It's a scary team. They have a chance. If they can hold their own against the Astros, I think they tied at 1-1. They can hold their own. You're looking at a good series going in for the ALCS.
Yeah, and to bounce off of that too, man, shout out Carlos Correa, dude. I mean, you went through 3 teams in one MLB offseason. I know that's crazy, dude, to think you had to go ahead and learn 3 different teammates and offenses and everything. Just crazy for you to go ahead and do that now. Be the guy that's pushing here towards the final for the Twins.
Against your former team too.
I enjoy it, but we gotta bring it up. Christian, certified baller. What do you got?
I hate to say it, I do, but I first game back looks real great for Mr. Cooper Cup himself, and I think that's who's going to be my certified baller because I know for a lot of things, Puka Nakua was snapping, man. I know there were probably a lot of questions, a lot of not needed questions, but a lot of questions about when Cup returns. Is that going to go right back to everything? Is it going to pop back? Is the connection going to go how it should be, or is Stafford now looking to Nakua? As we saw right away, I mean, first drive of the game, 5 targets, almost every catch of that drive or every yard of that drive came from Cooper Kupp. He had a great game, picked apart Philly's defense. Now, they didn't do a whole lot once he got into the second half, but he's still a great game coming off, his first week off the IR. And I mean, I just feel like he picked up right where he left off before his injury last year. Guy's going to be having a great season. Stafford and the Rams, I mean, like Nick said earlier, dude, they look like a good team. They've been playing other good teams, and that's what's been, hitting them a little hard. But they play a good team. Cup, though, I think that's going to be my certified baller.
That's a good one. Like, obviously, I have my honorable mention.
Jamar Chase.
No, no, actually, I have it as DJ Moore and Justin Fields from the past 2 weeks. They were scrutinized, but last 2 weeks, you have DJ Moore who's had 361 yards and 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Fields has 617 passing yards with 8 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. I mean, sure, like I said, you can argue those are the garbage defenses they played, but nonetheless, that's 2 great back-to-back weeks from them.
Yeah.
So maybe if their defense can figure things out, maybe that team can be a surprise wildcard team going into the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep it up, you're asking for a lot for that team and their strength of schedule. You can, but I mean, I would go Jamar Chase. I mean, he finally had a game. I mean, you get 3 touchdowns. I feel like you have to be mentioned, right? I mean, it's not a question for you not to mention him. But I'll kick it off. Which one am I going to choose? It's tough for me to choose. But I'm going to go my deflated baller. I'm going the refs in the Kansas City game. I'm sorry. You missed 3 penalties on one play. You missed the illegal hands to the face on the lineman. Then you missed the pass interference. That was the play that you should have called. Then you missed the fact that he literally took off his helmet and afterwards, and you even see the ref say you can't take off your helmet. It is immediate penalty when you take off your helmet. When you take it off yourself, it's an immediate penalty when you're on that field. That's 3 flags in one play. I'm sick and tired of these refs handing these games to the Chiefs. Every single game that you have to point out, there's at least 3 or 4 bad calls that they miss or don't call for the Chiefs. And I'm sick and tired of it. They're not that great, and they know that, but they want another dynasty like Tom Brady. And I'm sorry, there's just not a team out there that's like that team. So stop it. Refs, you suck. I think you should be, in all honesty, I think you should have a suspension.
You want to go with your deflated baller, Christian?
Oh man, do I even have a deflated baller? You know what, David, you go ahead and shoot yours. I'll shoot you mine in a minute.
Yeah, I thought honestly, if we all had paid attention to college football this past week, I thought we all may have 3 had the same deflated baller, and I am going to have to go with the obvious choice here: Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes. They had the game sealed. They should have won. They only had to kneel the ball. They didn't have to run the ball. They had to kneel it, and the game was over. But they ran the ball. They ran the ball, and they fumbled the ball, and they lose to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets with 2 seconds left. And the thing is, yeah, you can say, oh, that's a loss. That stinks. Miami was undefeated. They were undefeated going into that game. They had chances of going to an ACC game. They had chances of possibly winning the ACC. But now I think that's a crackpot shot now because you have already 3 other teams in the ACC who are undefeated. You have the Florida State Seminoles undefeated, but the Louisville Cardinals who are looking really good right now as well. And there's a third team. I forget who's undefeated too. I know there's a third team. They were talking about it, but still, like that's. Who'd you say?
It was Louisville that just knocked off Notre Dame.
Louisville knocked out Notre Dame, and I feel sorry for Notre Dame. They have 4 rough weeks in a row. They had to play Ohio State, then Duke, then Louisville, and they play USC this week. So I feel kind of bad.
Another deflated baller out there too? Can I go the people that make the top 25? because I'm sorry. Uh, if anyone was watching that Maryland Ohio State game, it was a very, 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 very close game until the fourth quarter. I mean,
Like
very
last
close.
year, exactly like last year.
And I'm sorry, it was Talia is the reason we lost that game. Maryland should have won that game. And I know you're not going to sit here and say that no, that's not true. Talia literally killed us. We should have won that game. We had the momentum, and he was just making like
That
going into half. Going into half, you have 12 seconds left. You're gonna dink, no timeouts. You're gonna dink the ball down, and the guy goes down. You're not gonna be able to kick a field goal to go up by another 3 points. That's just not, you don't do that. But the fact that Miami lost to Georgia Tech and is still at number 25, and Maryland lost to Ohio State, and that's their only loss of the season, and they're not in the top 25. I'm not a fan of. If anybody saw that game, they saw it was a close game, except for the end when they were trying to do Hail Marys to try to keep the game close. It didn't happen. It sucks. Maryland surprised me. They looked decent all the way into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think, like I said, with the whole Miami thing, it kind of stinks now because as somebody who went to Florida State, I like seeing Florida State do well. Now that Miami game means less, it means
It
less
does.
now.
I told you this from day one, David. You guys, I'm telling you, I thought they were going to make it, but the more I'm looking at it, just watch this. Last game of the season in the swamp, your playoff hopes are off the table.
I mean, they still have to play a ranked Duke team in 2 weeks, so that'll be
well. They can lose one game, but I'm telling you, they're going to lose the Gators, even if that's their only loss, because you can lose the Duke, which is ranked, and still have a chance. They go to the swamp with one loss. They're done.
I don't even. Did the Gators even play this past week? I'm not even sure the Gators played.
Yeah, they played this past week.
Who they play?
They played Vandy. Absolutely demolished them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
I'm just letting you know, man. I'm just letting you know.
You almost lost to freaking Maryland.
I didn't almost lose to Maryland. Ohio State did, though.
That's a good point.
Last time I checked, though, Ohio State covered the spread in that game. So, although I thought they weren't going to, on truth, I said from the beginning.
I said they would. I want to put that on record. I said they would, but again, they came out and they played decent in Ohio. Not too bad. Shout out Maryland season. It's over. We have Michigan, Penn State.
Well, they could still make a run if they play Ohio State like they play Michigan like they played Ohio State. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll
have at least 3 losses. 3 losses will be on this season. It's gonna be Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State.
You guys hear me?
No.
Aaron Jones was announced inactive tonight.
Ooh, so if you have
interesting
AJ Dillon.
Interesting. AJ Dillon coming on top of my list. He's playing tonight, baby. Let's go. But you guys have anything else?
No. Think of, yeah. Like, I mean, there's some good college games that are going to go on. Oklahoma beat Texas. That's great. I think that just ruins Texas's chance to go to the college football playoff, and I think that makes it to where Bama can't make it to the playoffs either, because they lost. Texas beat Bama, and now Texas is a one-loss team. Kind of stinks for them. Like I already mentioned, Notre Dame. Feel bad for them. You have 4 top 25 games in the span of 4 weeks. That's rough. And they have the best game this week, probably being Oregon and Washington. 2 good quarterbacks. You have 2 Heisman hopefuls in Bo Nix and in Penix Jr. I think Oregon takes it. I think Oregon has the better defense than Washington. So I think Oregon takes that one in Washington, by the way.
I think Oregon has a better offense. I think Oregon has the better team. But playing in Washington's a whole nother monster. So you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. But Oregon should win that game. Pac-12, enjoy the year. Enjoy this last year while you have
crazy. They probably are arguably the best conference right now. Like if you look top to bottom, it looks so good right now.
Enjoy it.
But they're all going to go to the freaking Big 12 and the in the freaking Big 10 next year. So it doesn't really matter.
Yep. It'll be fun. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tonight's game. But hey, that's going to do it for us, guys. We'll see you later on.
Yo,
I bet Price has 2 home runs tonight.
Ooh, let's go, Phils.
All right, deuces.
Tell your mother. You know what? We probably told her for you. Yo, listen up. Let me introduce to you the highlight taking podcast. We bring the heat is true. Hosted by Dave and Nick and Christian. That's a crew that drop knowledge and hot takes at the Sports IQ.